Welcome, all brothers and sisters in Christ, to Soulful Scriptures every day.
Amen. It is a blessing to be gathered here, and I'm just so grateful for everyone tuning in, even though the clouds are heavy today.
They are heavy. Usually when we come together in this space, we're opening the good book with a sense of lightness.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for those verses that lift us up, that give us that daily bread of encouragement to, get through the work week. We look for the light.
Yeah.
We might share a laugh about the quirks of church life or the joy of a Sunday service. And we love those moments. They are. They're just so necessary for the soul.
They are. The gospel is good news, after all. Joy is a central part of our walk.
Mm-hmm.
But today,
Mm-hmm.
today the burden on my heart is different. It's heavy. And I know, just from talking to you before we started, it's heavy on yours too.
It is. It really is. We often talk about the call to bear witness. And, usually in our circles, we think of that in terms of evangelism, testifying to the good news, sharing our personal testimony of salvation. And that is a beautiful, beautiful way to bear witness. But there is another side to it, a harder side.
That's right. Bearing witness also means standing in the gap. It means looking at the darkness, the real, tangible darkness in this world, and just refusing to look away.
Yeah.
It means seeing a child of God suffering and saying, I see you, I know what is happening to you, and I will not let it happen in silence.
That is exactly right. So today, we aren't doing a standard Bible study. We're not going to be dissecting a parable or, looking at the Greek roots of a joyful word.
No.
Today, we are acting as missionaries in the truest sense gathering to thoughtfully, passionately, and sorrowfully explore a report that has reached us from Pakistan. It is a report of injustice. It is a report that challenges our understanding of safety, law, and protection.
And we need to set the tone right now for everyone listening. This isn't going to be an easy conversation. It's solemn. It's urgent. We are talking about the life of a young girl. We are talking about a family, brothers and sisters in faith, who are walking through a valley of the shadow of death right now.
The topic today is the case of Maria Shahbaz. And if that name isn't etched on your heart yet, if you haven't heard it in your prayer circles, well, by the end of this hour, it will be.
Maria Shahbaz. It's a name that has become synonymous with a specific kind of tragedy facing the church in that region.
We are looking at a specific news report that details a shocking, heartbreaking legal decision. And to put it simply, and we will unpack this in great detail because the details matter, a court has returned a kidnapped child to her abductor.
It sounds impossible when you say it out loud. It really does. It sounds like I must have misheard you, or there is a typo in the report. Returned a kidnapped child to her abductor.
I know.
But that is the core conflict we are facing today. Despite evidence of her age, despite the illegality of the marriage, the gavel came down against the child.
So, our mission today is clear. We are here to walk through the facts of this report. We need to understand the legal and systemic failures that allowed this to happen. We need to understand the how and the why.
Yes.
And ultimately, we are here to stand in solidarity with this family. We can't physically be there in the courtroom with them. We can't stand between them and the police. But we can be there in spirit. We can be there in understanding.
Knowledge leads to intercession. We cannot pray effectively for what we do not understand. If we just say, God help the suffering, that is good. Of course it is. But if we say, God, intervene in this specific legal failure, touch this specific judge, protect this specific child, that is intercession.
Amen to that.
So let's understand this.
Let's start at the beginning. Section 1 of our discussion, the victim and the abduction. Who is Maria Shahbaz?
Based on the reports we have, Maria is a profile of absolute vulnerability. But more than that, she's a daughter. She's a human being.
Yes.
And she is identified clearly as a Christian girl living in Pakistan.
And the most critical number in this entire document, the number that everything else hinges on, is her age.
13.
13 years old. I want everyone listening to just stop for a second. Don't just let that number fly by. Visualize a 13-year-old.
Right.
Maybe it's your daughter. Maybe
Right.
it's your niece. Maybe it's a child in your Sunday school class.
Think about where a 13-year-old is, developmentally. They are barely teenagers. They are leaving childhood, but they are nowhere near adulthood.
Nowhere near.
They are still playing with friends. They are stressing about homework. They are figuring out their favorite colors and what music they like. They are not adults. They are certainly not brides.
No. The source material uses a phrase that really, really struck me. The title refers to the stolen innocence of Maria Shahbaz. Stolen innocence, that is a heavy phrase.
It captures the reality perfectly. When you take a 13-year-old and force them into an adult situation, a traumatic, violent adult situation, you are stealing something that can never be returned.
You can't get it back.
You are stealing their childhood. You are stealing their trust in the world.
And this vulnerability is specific, isn't it? She is a Christian girl in a context where that identity puts a target on her back.
That is the context we cannot ignore. This isn't a random crime. It fits a pattern that many missionaries and observers in the region know all too well.
A terrible pattern.
Minority girls are seen as easy targets because the perpetrators often assume the legal system won't fight hard for them.
Let's look at the timeline of the crime itself, because the report is very specific about when this nightmare began.
The date was July 29. That was the day the abduction took place.
July 29. A summer day? Probably a hot day. A day that started normally for the Shahbaz family and ended in a way no parent should ever experience.
And the sequence of events described in the media reports is chilling. It's not just an abduction. It follows a very specific script.
Right. It lists 3 distinct elements: kidnapping, forced conversion to Islam, and marriage to the abductor.
Kidnap, convert, marry.
I want to analyze that for a moment. Why those 3 things? Why are they linked so tightly in this report? Why not just kidnap? Why go through the other steps?
It's a mechanism of entrapment. It is a legal and social strategy. Think about it. If it were just a kidnapping, it's a clear-cut crime.
Black and white.
Exactly. You took a child, you go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
But by adding conversion and marriage, the abductor tries to cloak the crime in legitimacy.
They try to change the narrative.
They do. They try to shift the story from, I stole a child, to, she chose a new life.
Oh, that's insidious.
It is. By claiming she converted, they try to leverage religious laws and sentiments, making it seem like she joined the majority faith willingly. By claiming she is married, they try to claim custody rights as a husband, rather than facing kidnapping charges as a criminal.
It is a cynical, calculated trap. It uses the institutions of faith and marriage, things that should be holy as weapons, to imprison a child.
And it creates a fog. The police, the courts, the community, they get confused or hesitant because now it's a religious matter or a domestic matter, not just a kidnapping.
And it leaves the family. Well, the report describes the parents as heartbroken.
Heartbroken doesn't even begin to cover it, does it? It feels like too small a word for that level of pain.
No. Imagine being Shahbaz Masih, her father. The report says the family failed to recover her without success initially. That phrasing implies struggle. They didn't just sit back. They tried.
Oh, of course they did. That is the agony of the helpless parent. You know where your child is, you know what is happening to them, but you cannot reach them.
You can't get through the door.
The walls are too high, the doors are locked, and the system that is supposed to help you is turning its back.
It brings to mind the sheer helplessness. We talk about the shepherd leaving the 99 to find the one. These parents were searching for their one, but the wolves were being protected by the fence.
And that leads us directly into the most baffling, frustrating part of this report. Section 2, the legal battle. Because you would think, in any just society, if a 13-year-old is taken, the courts would be the rescue team.
You would think. That's the assumption we operate under. We assume the law is the good guy. But that is not what happened here. Let's talk about the court structure mentioned.
The ruling in question, the one that returned her, came from a 2-judge bench of the newly constituted Federal Constitutional Court, or FCC.
Okay, so this is a high-level court. Federal Constitutional Court. That sounds like the Supreme Court level.
It is high up the chain. This isn't a local village dispute resolution or a tribal council. This is a formal, high-level body of law. This is supposed to be where the best legal minds protect the Constitution and the people.
But there is a massive contrast here, isn't there? Because there was another court mentioned, a sessions court.
Correct. And this is where the legal story gets so twisted. The sessions court, which is a lower court, usually the first step in serious criminal cases, had actually looked at the facts. They had issued an order previously.
And what did that lower court say?
The Sessions Court order confirmed that the accused had contracted an illegal marriage with a minor.
Okay, let's stop there and let that sink in. A court of law had already looked at this case and said, this is illegal, she is a minor.
Yes, that finding existed. The lower court recognized the reality. They saw the crime for what it was.
So how, and I'm asking this as a person of faith and a person of logic,
Mm-hmm.
how does the Federal Constitutional Court, this higher body, look at the same case and come to the opposite conclusion?
That is a question that baffles legal experts and human rights advocates alike. It defies the logic of the judicial hierarchy. Usually you expect the higher courts to be the check against errors. You expect them to be the ones upholding rights more strictly.
Right, to fix mistakes, not create them.
Exactly. Here, the higher court seems to have erased the finding of the lower court.
And it wasn't for a lack of evidence. This is the part that makes me want to scream. The evidence was there. Let's talk about the B form.
The B form. In Pakistan, the B form is the child registration certificate.
Break that down for us. What is it exactly?
It is the official government record of a birth. It is issued by NHRA, the National Database and Registration Authority. It is the equivalent of our birth certificate.
So it's the gold standard.
It is the gold standard for proving age and identity in the country. There's nothing more official.
So this isn't a note from her mom. This isn't a rumor. This is the state's own record.
It is the document the state uses to say, this citizen exists and this is when they were born.
And this B form proved what?
It proves she was 13. It proves she was a minor.
So the court has the official government document in front of them, the document that says this is a child. And what did the FCC do?
The report says they rejected her official birth record.
How? On what grounds? How does a court just reject a birth certificate?
The report doesn't give the detailed legal reasoning the judges used, which, to me, makes it all the more disturbing. It simply states the fact. They rejected it.
So they just looked at it and said no.
They chose to look at the official proof of her age and say, we will not count this.
That implies something terrifying about the judicial process there.
It implies that facts are secondary. It implies that objective truth, like a birth date recorded by the government, can be tossed aside if it contradicts the narrative the court wants to support.
Wow.
Whether that's due to religious pressure, corruption, or bias, the result is that the truth was discarded.
And it gets worse. It wasn't just the birth certificate. There was testimony about the marriage record itself.
Right. This is the testimony of the investigating officer, the police officer assigned to the case.
And what did he tell the court?
He informed the court that no marriage record existed at the relevant union council.
Okay, let's unpack union council for our listener.
The union council is the local administrative body. In Pakistan, for a marriage to be legally recognized, it must be registered with the union council.
That's where the paperwork lives.
That's where the paperwork lives. If it's not there, legally, it didn't happen.
So police officer goes to the registry, he looks for the marriage certificate, and he comes back and says, there is no record of this marriage.
Exactly.
So let's do the math here. The B form says she is 13.
Mm-hmm.
The union council says there is no marriage record.
Correct.
So she is too young to marry, and the marriage wasn't even registered.
That is the equation. That's the evidence on the table.
So if A plus B equals kidnapping, how in the world did the court get legal custody?
That is the mystery and the tragedy. The expert in me looks at this text, and I am struggling to find a legal foothold. If there is no record of the marriage, on what basis does the abductor have a claim? If she is a minor, on what basis is she not returned to her parents?
It's a contradiction that defies reason. It feels like we are looking at a ruling that wasn't written based on law.
It suggests that the ruling wasn't based on the text of the law or the evidence in the file. It was a ruling based on something else entirely.
And it just wiped the slate clean.
It disregarded the Sessions Court, it disregarded the police investigation, it disregarded the government database.
And in the result of that disregard is Section 3 of our discussion, the verdict, the outcome of all this legal maneuvering.
The outcome.
Yes. The court gave custody of the 13-year-old girl back to the man who kidnapped her.
Let that sink in. Just sit with that for a moment.
Yeah.
They didn't just send her to a shelter. They didn't send her to neutral ground or a protective home while things were sorted out.
Right.
They handed the victim back to the victimizer.
As a missionary, as a father. It destroys me, the moral outrage of that action. It is handing the lamb to the wolf and calling it justice.
It legitimizes the crime. It tells the abductor, you have succeeded. The state supports you. You took this charge, and we are giving her back to you.
There is an argument mentioned in the report brought up by Chaudhry. He's from the ministry providing legal aid to the father. He talks about the issue of time.
Yes, this is a crucial psychological and legal point. The girl had remained in the custody of the suspect for more than 6 months.
6 months? That's half a year. For a child who's been taken, that's an eternity.
It is an eternity, and Chaudhry's argument is about coercion.
Explain that. Why does the 6 months matter so much regarding consent?
Imagine a 13-year-old girl. She is taken from her home. She is isolated from her parents. She is surrounded by the abductor and his associates. She is likely told that her parents don't want her or that she can never go back. She is entirely dependent on her captor for food, for safety, for survival.
She is in a pressure cooker of fear, a constant state of it.
For 6 months. Psychological research tells us that in that kind of environment, independent will erodes. It wears away.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do to survive. You say what they tell you to say.
It's a survival mechanism.
Exactly. It is often called Stockholm Syndrome, or simply survival adaptation.
So if she stood up in court, and reports often show these girls do, and said, I want to stay, or I converted willingly.
You cannot take that at face value. That is Chaudhry's point. A 13-year-old who's been held captive for 6 months cannot give free, independent consent.
It's not possible.
The consent is a product of the coercion. It is the voice of the captor speaking through the victim.
It's fear, it's trauma.
Exactly. And the court failed to consider this. They failed to look at the psychological reality of that captivity. They treated a traumatized child as if she were an independent, consenting adult making a lifestyle choice.
It's a failure of empathy as much as it is a failure of law. It treats a child like a contract dispute.
It is a refusal to protect the vulnerable. It ignores the power dynamic completely.
We need to talk about the people trying to fight this. We mentioned Chaudhry. The report says his ministry is providing legal assistance to the girl's father, Shahbaz Masih.
This is a vital detail. In these cases, families like the Masih family are often poor. They're socially marginalized. They don't have the resources to hire high-powered lawyers to fight a federal constitutional court.
They are powerless against the machine.
Without ministries like Chaudhry's, without that legal aid, this case might never have even made it to court. The parents would have been shouting into the void.
It highlights the importance of that ministry work. It's not just preaching, it's advocacy. It's standing beside the powerless in the courtroom.
It is the practical application of justice. It is doing what we are called to do, defend the orphan and the widow, or, in this case, the stolen child.
Yes.
But even with that help, look at what they are up against. And this brings us to the broader system.
Yes. Section 4. Systemic failures in police collusion. Because it wasn't just the judges. The police played a role in this nightmare, too.
Chaudhry is very critical of the police in this report. He uses words like inaction and leniency.
Leniency toward a kidnapper. That makes my blood boil. It's the opposite of their job.
Think about the timeline again. The abduction happens. The family goes to the police.
And what happens?
Initially, nothing. The report mentions a month-long inquiry was required just to restore the FIR and add additional charges.
Let's explain FIR for listeners who might not know the term. It's not something we use here in the U.S. often.
Right. FIR stands for First Information Report. It is the document that officially starts a criminal investigation in Pakistan and India's legal systems. Without an FIR, the police cannot technically move forward.
It's the starting gun.
It is the starting gun. If there is no FIR, there is no crime in the eyes of the police.
And it took a month just to get the charges right.
A month. In a kidnapping case, the first 24 hours are critical. A month is a lifetime. A month allows the abductor to hide the child, to move her, to coerce her.
And notice who had to step in to get it done. The report says it required a deputy superintendent.
That's a higher-ranking officer. That implies that the lower-level officers, the ones at the local station who the father would have gone to first, were refusing to act.
Oh, you're blocking it.
They were blocking it. It took pressure from above or persistent advocacy from the ministry just to get the basic paperwork filed correctly.
So the police dragged their feet. But once the FIR was filed, once the charges were there, did they eventually go after the guy?
The report states clearly, police made no attempt to arrest the accused.
No attempt.
None. They sat on the warrant.
They had the FIR. They had the charges. But they didn't go get him.
And here is the detail that really shows the brazenness of it all. The report says the accused did not even seek pre-arrest bail.
This is a massive tell. I want you to break that down for us. What is pre-arrest bail, and why does it matter that he didn't get it?
In that legal system, if you are accused of a crime and you're afraid the police are going to arrest you, you go to a court immediately and apply for pre-arrest bail.
Okay.
It's a legal protection that prevents the police from handcuffing you while the investigation is ongoing.
It's what you do if you are worried about going to jail. It's the standard move for a criminal who has a lawyer.
Exactly. It's standard procedure for anyone accused of a serious crime who wants to stay free. The fact that this man didn't even bother to apply for it tells us everything.
It means he wasn't afraid.
He knew he didn't need it. He knew the police weren't coming. He had valid confidence that he was untouchable.
The report says he continued appearing in court without fear. Imagine that. He walks into the courthouse. There are police officers everywhere. He is a wanted man on paper kidnapping, forced marriage. And he walks in without fear. He walks right past the officers who were supposed to arrest them. And it points to one conclusion: police collusion. You don't get that kind of confidence unless you have a handshake deal with the people who are supposed to be enforcing the law.
So the police are colluding, the lower courts are ignored, the evidence is rejected, the child is returned.
It is a perfect storm of injustice. Every single safety net that is supposed to catch a falling child was deliberately cut.
As missionaries, we talk about spiritual warfare. But this is spiritual warfare manifested in bureaucracy. It is evil hiding behind paperwork and gavels.
It is the strong preying on the weak and the system applauding the predator. It is a reversal of everything justice is supposed to be.
Let's summarize this stack of failures in Section 5, because when you list it all out, it is overwhelming. It's not just one bad judge. No, it is a cascade. It's one failure built on top of another. Let's look at the stack.
Okay.
Number 1, the police. They wouldn't arrest the suspect. They delayed the FIR. They allowed him to walk free without bail.
Failure 1.
Number 2, the investigating officer's evidence. He stood up in court and said, no marriage record exists, but the court ignored it.
Failure 2.
Number 3, the identity. The official government birth record, the B form, saying she is 13. The court rejected it.
Failure 3. Unbelievable.
Number 4, the law. The previous court order from the Sessions Court declaring the marriage illegal. The FCC disregarded it.
All those checks and balances failed.
They didn't just fail, they were dismantled.
Deliberately.
And the result of that stack?
A stolen innocence. A 13-year-old girl trapped.
And a family destroyed. We have to come back to Shahbaz Masih.
The father.
He did everything right. He didn't take the law into his own hands. He went to the police. He got legal help. He went to court. He had the documents. He played by the rules of the society he lives in. He trusted the system to give his daughter back.
He did.
He believed that if he showed the truth, the B form, the record's justice would prevail.
And the system looked him in the eye and said, no. She belongs to him now.
The human cost of that is incalculable. It's not just a legal loss. It is a loss of faith in the nation. It is a loss of security. Every night that father goes to sleep, if he sleeps, he knows his daughter is with the man who took her.
Oh, my goodness.
He knows she is scared. He knows she is alone.
It breaks your heart. It really does. It makes you want to weep.
It should. If it doesn't break our hearts, we aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
We're not bearing witness correctly.
So brothers and sisters, what do we do with this? We've unpacked the facts. We've seen the injustice.
First, we recognize the gravity of the situation. This isn't just bad luck. This is a convergence of legal failure, police corruption, and human rights violation.
Yeah.
It is systemic. It shows us that for Christians in Pakistan, the legal system is not a neutral playing field. It can be a weapon used against them.
And we need to reflect on the plight of Maria Shahbaz and her family. We need to keep their names in our minds. When you pray tonight, pray for Maria, pray for Shahbaz Masih.
Absolutely. And pray for the lawyers and ministries like Chaudhry's who are fighting these battles. They are David fighting Goliath every single day.
I want to leave you all with a provocative thought today, something to really meditate on as we close.
We talk about justice. We talk about truth. We sing about God being a God of justice. But what happens when the earthly courts reject the truth? When they look at a B form and say, it doesn't matter? When they protect the predator?
Where does the helpless family turn?
How does this report challenge our understanding of safety? We take it for granted that if someone steals our child, the police will help. What if they don't? What if they help the thief? That is the reality for the Masih family.
It forces us to realize that our faith is not just about comfort, it is about endurance. And it is about standing with those who are enduring the unthinkable.
That is why we bear witness. We see it, we name it, we bring it before the throne of grace.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It wasn't an easy one. It wasn't a fun one, but it was a necessary one.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing the burden with us.
God bless you all.
God bless.